Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn about physical quantities and its units. So we'll start with the objective. Our objective for today is we'll be able to list the fundamental physical quantities and some of the derived physical quantities and its units. So we'll be starting with the fundamental physical quantities, then we'll move on to the derived physical quantities and we'll learn about their units. So here you can see a word list. What do you mean by list? List is a skill. How do you list some items? So how we are going to do is, first of all, you will think what is the topic. When you see the word list, first the thing that will come to your mind is what is the topic. So once you have the topic, then what you're going to do is what do you know about the topic? And the topic பத்தி உனக்கு என்னென்ன தெரியும். Then what you're going to do is write it one by one. And so first of all, you'll be thinking about the topic. So here our topics are fundamental physical quantities. So that is the topic for our class today. What do you know about it? And the fundamental physical quantities பத்தி உனக்கு என்ன தெரியும்? And you will be writing it one by one. So that's how you list certain items. So that's our objective for today. And we'll move on to physical quantities. What do you mean by physical quantities? Physical quantities na enna? Physical quantity is a quantity that can be measured. இப்போ எந்த quantity இருந்தாலும் that can be measured. So Miss has a scale in her hand, okay? So here in the scale, why do you use the scale? This is used to measure length, right? The scale is used to measure length. So like that, any quantity that can be measured. So when you say an example, you have length. Length is an example of a physical quantity. And the unit, what is the unit of length? You gently measure length in meters, right? So ஒரு இப்போ மிஸ்ஸுக்கு எவ்வளோ ஹைட் இருக்கு, எவ்வளோ மீட்டர் ஹைட் இருக்கு மிஸ்ஸுக்கு. So that is a physical quantity. மிஸ்ஸோட height is a physical quantity. How much distance you have moved, ஒரு பாயிண்ட்ல இருந்து next point வரைக்கும் how much distance you have moved. That is an example of a physical quantity. இப்போ ஒரு physical quantity na you'll have two parts. So the first will be a numerical value and a unit. So if you just say a number, okay, think of it. I'm just saying a number, that is I'm saying 100, okay? What do you understand from that 100? 100 is just a number, no? But if you're saying 100 meters, what does that signify? Which means that the length is 100 meter. It can be a distance from one place to another. So that is length. So here you can see examples like length, which is an example of a physical quantity. Example can be 5 meters. So if you say just 5, will that be a physical quantity? No, right? It has to have a unit with it. So the unit here is meters. Another one is mass. Mass means ஒரு பாடியில எவ்வளோ weight இருக்கு, அதுதான் mass. You have heard of mass. இப்போ மிஸ்க்கு எவ்வளோ weight இருக்கு. So that is the amount of a substance that is in my body. So that is basically the mass of a body. And miss எவ்வளோ weight இருக்கு. So miss is like ஒரு 50 kilograms. So that's a physical quantity. 50 is a numerical value and you have a unit kilogram. Again, another unit is time. You have heard of time, right? So what is the unit of time? Gently, it is seconds. You have hours, you have minutes and everything. All of these are examples of units of time. So time is again a physical quantity. So these are just examples: length, mass of an object, then the time. So these are all examples of physical quantity. Okay. So gently we have fundamental quantities, fundamental physical quantities. அப்படின்னா length is a fundamental physical quantity. இப்ப lengthல இருந்து lengthக்கு length மட்டும்தான். ஒரு பாயிண்ட்ல இருந்து ஒரு பாயிண்ட் வரைக்கும் எவ்வளோ டிஸ்டன்ஸ், மிஸ்ஸுக்கு எவ்வளோ ஹைட், வாட் இஸ் த லெங்த் ஆஃப் அ பேப்பர், அந்த மாதிரி லெங்த். ஸோ தட் இஸ் அ ஃபண்டமெண்டல் குவான்டிட்டி. அது நம்ம பிரிக்க முடியாது. இனியும் செப்பரேட்டா குட்டி குட்டி பார்ட்ஸா we cannot divide it. அந்த மாதிரி குவான்டிட்டிஸ் தான் ஃபண்டமெண்டல் குவான்டிட்டி. இதுல இருந்து தான் பில்ட் ஆகுது. இப்போ நம்ம ஏரியா கன்சிடர் பண்ணி, ஐ நோ யூ ஆல் ஹேவ் லேர்ன்ட் அபவுட் ஏரியா அண்ட் ஆல். ஸோ ஏரியானா லெங்த் இன்டு பிரெத் ஃபார் அ ரெக்டாங்கிள். அதுதான் நம்ம ஏரியா. அதுதான் இந்த லெங்க்ல பில்ட் ஆகுது. Another example is mass. Mass na that the unit is kilogram. Time na it's seconds. Temperature na எவ்வளோ hotness or coldness. இப்போ நம்ம டெம்பரேச்சர் யூஸ்வலா இங்க மிஸ்க்கு கேரளால இங்க இட்ஸ் ரெய்னி. ஸோ த டெம்பரேச்சர் இஸ் அரவுண்ட் ஒரு 20 degrees Celsius nu vechukko. So that degree Celsius is not the fundamental unit. So but that is something that we use generally. Kelvin is the fundamental unit. Appo degree Celsius la irundhu Kelvin convert pannadhukku you have a conversion. Ipo next one is electric current. Electric current na nama electricity irukolle. So that is an example of another fundamental quantity. Adukku unit is amperes. Then next one is amount of substance. Ipo we have we have heard of compounds, right? Carbon dioxide and the madri. Then other than that gases like hydrogen, helium and the madri gases patti ellam we have learned, right? Adile that gas are made up of kutti particles, and the particles evlo irukku, that is known as amount of substance. Adoda unit is mole. Next one is luminous intensity. Luminous intensity na light oda intensity. How much light is ஒரு particular area le or in a either how much light is being emitted. எவ்வளோ light இருக்கு, அந்த lightக்கு எவ்வளோ intensity இருக்கு, that is known as the luminous intensity. அதுக்கு unit is candela. So when in the heading you can see that it's fundamental quantities, fundamental physical quantities and units, and in the bracket I have mentioned SI. What do you mean by SI? So there is international system of units, international standard. So that is basically, so namalukku we have a lot of units, right? Ipo length we have meter, we have centimeter, we have kilometers, neriya irukku. Adu illama we have inch, we have feet, அந்த மாதிரி நிறைய conversions இருக்கு. அது மாதிரி massலயும் we have kilogram, gram, அந்த மாதிரி you have a lot. Then again in case of time என்னென்ன இருக்கு, you have seconds, you have minute, you have hours. There are a lot of. So also with respect to temperature, I told you, right? Usually நம்ம என்ன சொல்லுவாங்க, degree Celsius தான் சொல்லுவாங்க. இப்போ the temperature of this place is around 20 degrees Celsius. So அந்த மாதிரி there are other units as well. But why are we concentrating on these units? That is the SI system of units. So the basic criteria here is, இப்போ நம்ம கண்ட்ரில if we are using meter இல்லனா kilometer அந்த மாதிரி யூஸ் பண்ணானா, in another country அவங்க they might be using feet, inches அந்த மாதிரி யூனிட் தான் யூஸ் பண்ணுவாங்க. அப்போ there it can lead to confusion. இப்போ I'm telling them either this is 5 kilometers. 5 kilometers might be something they haven't heard of. அவங்க அது கேட்டுக்கே மாட்டேன். So அந்த டைம்ல இப்போ நான் இப்போ I'm telling them I've traveled 5 kilometers na avங்களுக்கு they won't even understand. அதுக்கு தான் we have a common unit. இப்போ common we have some units like for length it's meter, for mass it's kilogram. These are fundamental SI units. அதுக்கு தான் SI units னு சொல்லுவாங்க. இது this is important na, இப்போ in one country one person is talking that I have moved 5 kilometers, the other person in that country should understand I'm moving. So the fundamental unit is meter, right? So when Mrs. saying I moved 5 meters, the another person in another country should be able to understand. இப்போ miss சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கேன், நான் ஒரு 100 meters move பண்ணிருக்கேன். அப்போ another countryல another person அவங்களுக்கு புரியணும், இந்த 100 meterனா இவ்வளவுதான், இந்த distance தான் 100 meter அந்த மாதிரி they should understand. அதுக்காக தான் there is this fundamental there is this SI units. ஏன்னா SI units na that will be common across the world. In the world எந்த country எடுத்தாலும் the SI unit will be the same. அது ஒரு common for them to understand. So that is about the SI units. So we have covered the fundamental units. We have 7 fundamental units and we have learned about its fundamental quantities and we have learned about its units. So now we are moving on to derived units. So have you heard of derived units? Derived units are the units which can be obtained by multiplying, dividing or mathematically combining fundamental quantities. So it's basically derived units now if we consider area. Area na ipo, so Miss has the scale, no? So this is like a rectangle. இதோட area na இது எவ்வளோ space occupy பண்ணுவாங்க, அதுக்கு you multiply the length with its breadth. அப்போ this is length, this is also length. But length and length you are multiplying. அப்போ length multiply பண்ணும்போது எவ்வளவு what do we get? That is the area. So this is derived from length, no? So length நம்ம small parts பிரிக்க முடியாது. ஆனா இங்க ஏரியானா ஒரு length இருக்கு, another length இருக்கு. இது ரெண்டு multiply பண்ணும்போது தான் you get area. So these are the derived quantities. Derived quantities க்கு derived units இருக்கு. இப்போ length ஓட unit என்னது? Meter. Breadth நாலும் that is also length. That is also meter. A meter into meter. So that is meter square. So that is an example of a derived quantity and its unit. So some examples are area, volume, speed. You might have heard of speed. Speed another. If we consider a vehicle or a person, everyone distance travel பண்ணிருக்காங்க in a particular time. So distance divided by time. So that is the speed of a car or any vehicle. So here, like I mentioned, area, it is meter into meter. So how we generally say is, we generally say it as meter square. 2 meter இருக்கு. அப்போ meter, so how we write is, we'll write this, right? Okay, so we write it as meter, மேல you'll write 2, which means that we have 2 meters. That is, and we call it as meter square. Okay, so that's about area. So for a square you have all the sides are similar, no? All the sides have equal length. So the area of a square is side into side, that is side square. For a rectangle, like I told about the scale, it is length into breadth. So that is the area of a rectangle. So students, I hope you understood what our physical quantities are. So we started with physical quantities. Physical quantities are the quantities that can be measured. It has a numerical value and it has a unit. Then we moved on to fundamental quantities. Fundamental quantities na and the quantities you can't divide into smaller units. குட்டி குட்டியா பிரிக்க முடியாது, அதுதான் fundamental. அதுக்கு மேல தான் வரும். So those examples are length, mass, time, etc. We have 7 fundamental quantities, and அதுக்காக 7 SI units இருக்கு. So we also talked about international system of units, and international this system is used because நம்ம confused our, so that we don't get confused. அதுக்காக தான் this international system of units are introduced. So from that we moved on to derived units. Derived units na நம்ம ஆல்ரெடி இருக்க ஃபண்டமெண்டல் யூனிட்ஸ் மல்டிப்ளை பண்ணலாம், டிவைட் பண்ணலாம், இல்லைன்னா அதுல ஏதாச்சும் மேத்தமேட்டிக்கல் ஆப்ரேஷன்ஸ் யூஸ் பண்ணும்போது the units that we get, that is known as the derived unit. One example is area. Area na we have square na it is side into side, that is side square, and the unit will be meter square. In case of a rectangle, it is length into breadth. That's again length nalum, that is length. Breadth nalum, that is a measurement of length. So that is length into breadth. So that's again meter square. That is the fundamental, or not the fundamental, that's the derived unit for length in SI. SI we have 7 fundamental units. 7 fundamental SI units are there, which we already discussed. So that's it for today. We'll see you in next class. Thank you.